Welcome to Events and Places. I know you have been waiting for me for another interesting delight. This is where we bring to your delightful pleasure and experience with events and places around the world. There are things to experience and places worth to be once in a lifetime. In the previous videos, we presented on Zanzibar, the African paradise, and scenic Niagara Falls. Kindly hit the subscribe button and like the channel for subsequent series on this platform. I am Kimberly. This time, I will be on Mount Everest, the roof of the world. There are mountains. And then there is Everest, the highest point on Earth. A place where dreams are born. And lives are lost. A kingdom of ice, silence, death, courage, and wonder. For centuries, this giant stood untouched above the clouds, mysterious, terrifying, and almost mythical. At 8,848.86 meters above sea level, Mount Everest is not just a mountain. It is the ultimate test of human endurance. But behind the breathtaking beauty lies a darker truth. Temperatures colder than Antarctica. Winds powerful enough to throw climbers off the mountain. An altitude where the human body slowly dies. And yet, every year, people still come. Why? Today, we journey into the heart of the world's greatest mountain. To uncover its shocking history, its deadly mysteries, its incredible tourism, and the unforgettable human stories hidden in the snow. Mount Everest, the roof of the world. The giant of the Himalayas. Everest stands in the mighty Himalayas, the greatest mountain range on Earth. Located between Nepal and China in Tibet, Everest dominates the skyline like a frozen titan. But surprisingly, Everest is not its original name. In Nepal, it is called Sagarmata, meaning goddess of the sky. In Tibet, it is known as Chomolungma, mother goddess of the world. The mountain was named Everest in 1865 after British surveyor Sir George Everest during colonial mapping expeditions. But for local people, this mountain was sacred long before outsiders arrived. Everest grows about 4 millimeters every year due to tectonic movement. Yes, the mountain is still growing. Deep beneath the Himalayas, the Indian tectonic plate continues to crash into Asia, pushing Everest higher into the sky. The first people WHO dared. For decades, Everest was considered impossible to climb. Explorers entered the Himalayas with primitive equipment, heavy wool clothing, weak oxygen systems, and almost no reliable maps. Many never returned. Then came the historic year, 1953. Two men stood at the edge of history. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Battling exhaustion, freezing winds, and deadly altitude, they pushed upward toward the summit. Step by step, breath by breath. Until finally, on May 29, 1953, humanity stood on top of the world for the very first time. The impossible had become possible. But Everest would soon reveal that conquering the summit is only half the battle. Because most deaths happen on the way down. The death zone. Above 8,000 meters lies a terrifying place known as the death zone. Here, oxygen levels are so low that the human body begins shutting down. The brain swells. Muscles weaken. Judgment disappears. Even simple actions become impossible. Temperatures can fall below -40 degrees Celsius. Hurricane force winds can arrive without warning. And perhaps the most chilling fact of all, more than 200 bodies remain on Everest today. Many climbers who died were never recovered because the conditions are too dangerous. Some frozen bodies even became landmarks for future climbers. On Everest, nature always has the final word. The shocking disasters. The 1996 tragedy. One of the darkest days in Everest history came in 1996. A sudden storm trapped climbers high on the mountain. Visibility vanished. Temperatures collapsed. Exhausted climbers became lost in the blizzard. 8 people died in a single day. The disaster shocked the world and inspired the famous book and movie, Into Thin Air and Everest. The 2014 avalanche. In 2014, tragedy struck again. A massive avalanche thundered through the deadly Khumbu icefall, killing 16 Sherpas. The disaster exposed a painful truth. Sherpas, the mountain guides who carry equipment, fix ropes, and save lives, often face the greatest dangers. Without Sherpas, Everest expeditions would almost be impossible. The Sherpas, heroes of Everest. The true heroes of Everest are not always the people who reach the summit. Many are the Sherpas. The Sherpa people are famous for their extraordinary ability to survive at high altitude. Generations of life in the Himalayas help their bodies adapt to thin oxygen levels better than most humans. They risk their lives repeatedly, guiding strangers toward a dream. And some became legends. Like Kamirita Sherpa, the man who climbed Everest more times than anyone in history. An achievement almost beyond belief. Surprising facts about Everest. Fact 1: Everest was once underwater. Marine fossils have been found near Everest's summit. Meaning, millions of years ago, this mountain was beneath an ancient ocean. Fact 2: Internet exists on Everest. Yes, climbers can actually access internet and even post on social media from parts of Everest. Fact 3: Traffic jams happen near the summit. In modern times, overcrowding became a huge problem. Climbers sometimes wait for hours near the summit in freezing temperatures, creating deadly traffic jams in the death zone. Fact 4: Helicopter rescues changed Everest forever. Decades ago, rescue on Everest was nearly impossible. Today, high-altitude helicopters save many lives, though the mountain still remains incredibly dangerous. The tourism wonder of Everest. Despite its dangers, Everest attracts thousands of tourists every year. And not everyone comes to climb the summit. Many visitors simply want to witness the beauty of the Himalayas. Everest Base Camp Trek. One of the world's greatest adventures is the Everest Base Camp Trek. A journey through breathtaking valleys, ancient villages, glaciers, rivers, and towering snowy peaks. Visitors experience yak caravans crossing mountain trails, Buddhist monasteries filled with prayer chants, traditional Sherpa culture, stunning Himalayan sunrise views. Lukla Airport, the dangerous gateway. Most Everest journeys begin at one of the world's most dangerous airports, Tenzing Hillary Airport. Its tiny runway sits dangerously close to cliffs and mountains. Landing here feels like entering another world. Everest's economic impact. Tourism around Everest provides vital income for Nepal. Hotels, guides, trekking companies, porters, restaurants, and airlines all depend heavily on Himalayan tourism. But growing tourism also created serious environmental problems. The environmental crisis. Everest's popularity has a cost. Over the years, abandoned oxygen tanks, tents, plastic waste, and climbing equipment polluted the mountain. Some even called Everest the world's highest garbage dump. Today, cleanup missions work tirelessly to restore the mountain's beauty. Climate change also threatens Everest. Melting glaciers, unstable ice, and changing weather patterns are making climbing even more dangerous. Why Everest still calls people. So why do people keep coming? Why risk everything for one mountain? Maybe Everest represents something deeper. The desire to explore, to conquer fear, to discover human limits. For some, Everest is glory. For others, spirituality. For many, it is transformation. Because nobody returns from Everest the same person they were before. On the roof of the world, humanity confronts nature at its absolute extreme. And in that frozen silence above the clouds, people discover not just the mountain, but themselves. Mount Everest remains one of Earth's greatest wonders. Beautiful. Deadly. Sacred. Unforgettable. And perhaps that is why the mountain continues to inspire the world. Because some places are more than destinations. They become legends. Would you dare climb Everest? Like, comment, subscribe. Welcome to Events and Places. I know you have been waiting for me for another interesting delight. This is where we bring to your delightful pleasure and experience with events and places around the world. There are things to experience and places worth to be once in a lifetime. In the previous videos, we presented on Zanzibar, the African paradise, and scenic Niagara Falls. Kindly hit the subscribe button and like the channel for subsequent series on this platform. I am Kimberly. This time, I will be on Mount Everest, the roof of the world. There are mountains. And then there is Everest. The highest point on Earth. A place where dreams are born. And lives are lost. A kingdom of ice, silence, death, courage, and wonder. For centuries, this giant stood